Hi everyone. With this week's lesson, we're going to move into a two-point perspective drawing system. So we'll start out as usual with our overview of the different drawing systems and where two-point perspective kind of fits in there. Then we'll talk about what exactly two-point is and show you some examples from real life. Finally, we'll walk step by step through a really simple two-point perspective box. Let's get started. In this class, as you know, we've been walking through a number of different ways to portray a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional page. The two-point perspective system, shown right here, is our last drawing system of the semester. You'll remember that perspective drawing systems in general provide experiential views as a person sees a three-dimensional object. Therefore, they depict the optical reality. There are three common types of perspective projection: 1, 2, and 3-point, and it has to do with the technical way that we construct these drawings. What does this really mean? All right, here's a really simple rule of thumb to help you understand these three different projection methods. If your view is aligned to a box's face, you are using 1-point perspective. All right. If your view is aligned to a box's edge, we're going to be using 2-point perspective. And finally, if your box is tipped, all right, and your view is aligned to the box's corner, that would be a 3-point perspective. In this course, we're only covering 1 and 2-point perspective construction. So let's compare the two. On the top here, we have an example of 1-point perspective from last week. You can see that our boxes are aligned with their face directly at the viewer. All right, we've got vertical lines, which are truly vertical, horizontal lines, again, true horizontal, and everything else recedes into the distance towards a central vanishing point. Right? Doesn't have to be central, towards a single vanishing point, excuse me. Let's compare this to a 2-point perspective. All right. In 2-point perspective, we're mostly have our objects turned so that there is an edge in front, all right, and right here. And that's called the leading edge. All right. The leading edge is a vertical line. Vertical lines are truly vertical, but everything else are perspective lines. So we've got these going all the way back, okay, to two vanishing points, one on either side. All right. There are no true horizontal lines as in the 1-point perspective, all right, because we've got our box turned and we're looking at it edge on. So let's take a quick look at 2-point perspective with a real box. Oh, okay, so this one is an illustration, not a photo, but it still works, okay? We have our box here. Notice how we've got the leading edge, the box's corner is turned to us, right? And then perspective lines project towards two separate vanishing points on the horizon line. We still have a horizon line, right? The remaining vertical edges complete the shape, okay? And they're all parallel to that leading edge. Let's notice one more thing about this. In the last example, I'll flip back, the entire box is sitting below the horizon line, all right? So we can see the top of the box. Now, this one here, take a look, is kind of half and half above and below the horizon line, right? So look how we can't see the top of the box, right? It's a different viewpoint. I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step instructions for how to draw a simple box in a 2-point perspective system. I suggest you grab a pencil and a paper and see if you can follow along. So our first step is to set up our horizon line And we're going to mark 2 vanishing points on that horizon line. Next, draw a vertical line. This is going to be your front corner edge or your leading edge of your box. All right, it must be true vertical, so go ahead and use your T-square and triangle. All right, but for this particular exercise, I'd like it to be below the horizon line and a little bit spaced away from it. Okay, you've got your horizon line, you've got your 2 vanishing points, you've got your leading edge. Next, take a look at the top point and bottom point of your leading edge. Each of those, connect them to the vanishing points. For example, here's the top point of our leading edge. You're going to connect it using a perspective line to the vanishing point on either side. Same thing for the bottom point of your leading edge. Use a perspective line to connect it to the vanishing points. Next, let's draw the corner edges of your box. They're going to be true vertical lines. From the top and bottom of each of those corner edges you just drew, you're going to connect those to the vanishing points using perspective lines. For example, let's take a look at this corner edge that you just drew right here. Here's the top point. You'll connect it to the right vanishing point and the left vanishing point. Here's the bottom of that corner edge that you drew. You'll connect it to the right vanishing point and to the left vanishing point. Okay, here's the only tricky bit in the whole instructions. We're going to find the back corner of this box, and it's going to be where these lines you just drew intersect. So here's this line to the vanishing point, here's this line to the vanishing point. You'll find their connection, their intersection, and draw a true vertical line right here. And if everything was drawn cleanly and with true verticals, it should connect with the intersection of the 2 lines from the top. All right. Magic how that happens. With our last step, what you've really got is like a wireframe or a see-through box. Now you need to take that outline and erase or lighten any guidelines that you don't need. All right, and darken or draw over in pen any of your final lines. All right, this drawing has chosen to create an open-topped box. All right, by careful selection of which lines to keep and which not. All right, you can choose to have an open top, an open side, maybe an all closed box. Any of those works for your design. Next, why don't you try this same procedure with a box that's above the horizon line. See if you can follow the same steps. Thanks everyone. In this video, we covered an overview of the 2-point perspective drawing system and what is it, and walked through a step-by-step method of drawing a 2-point perspective box. All right. Next, I want you to move on to the weekly exercises, which are going to show you some more 2-point perspective techniques.